In the previous section, we have seen some real-world applications of computers. We discussed what programming is and how it makes computers powerful. In this section, we shall learn some essential fundamentals on how a computer system really works. Before we move on, what do you think is a computer? Computer is an electronic device which is capable of receiving information in a particular form, that is, it takes input, and of executing sequence of instructions, that is, it performs processing to produce a result, that is, it gives the output in the form of information or signal. Basically, the computer takes some input, does some processing on it, and produces some output. This is called the IPO cycle. I stands for input, P for processing, and O for output. To understand the IPO cycle, let us take an example of a calculator capable of finding the square of a given number. Can you visualize the calculator example in terms of IPO, input, processing, and output? What would be an input? Or in other words, what does the square calculator needs in order to compute the square of a number? Obviously, it requires a number, say an integer number n. What would be in the processing component? It should calculate the square of number n by multiplying n with itself. That is, it computes n squared. Finally, what would be the output? Here, the answer n squared may be displayed as an output. So to summarize, here the input is an integer number, say n. Processing is computing square of n, that is performing n times n. Output is displaying the answer that was calculated during the processing phase, that is displaying n squared. The IPO cycle is executed by a computer taking help of both hardware and software components of a computer. Hardware consists of devices that are visible, which we may touch and feel, like mouse, keyboard, monitor, hard disk, processing unit, etc. Software provides instructions that are responsible for executing our task. We cannot touch the software, but we can see what it does. Some softwares are internet browser like Google Chrome, movie player like VLC, word processor like MS Word, etc. The operating system is the most important software in any computer, as it provides a platform for installing all other softwares, and it is also responsible for managing hardware devices. Some popular operating systems are Windows OS, Mac OS, Linux OS, etc. That's all for this lecture. In this lecture, we have discussed the working of input, processing, and output cycle, IPO cycle of a computer. Next, we shall learn about the block diagram of a computer. Until then, stay tuned.